Greetings, hello ladies and gentlemen, and today we're going to be taking a look at the 2015 CollectA Deluxe Spinosaurus, and a big shout out to my good friend Gibson, aka Bioniclesaurus, for actually sending this figure over to me because he didn't really care to own it anymore. And he said, hey, you like Spinosaurus? You never got a chance to review this one? Here you go. So thank you, Gibson, for sending this one over. This Spinosaurus is a very interesting figure, but before we jump into taking a closer look at it, just a quick disclaimer. I am going to be judging this figure off of the 2014 reconstruction of Spinosaurus. Because this figure is nearly 6 years old now, we didn't know anything about Spinosaurus' new tail or anything, so I'm purely going to be judging this off of the 2014 reconstruction. Alright, well first of all, the detailing on this one is... it's detailed alright. The scales just feel very kind of warty, and yeah, I mean, I can't think of any other word to describe them other than uncomfortable. I mean, there was some effort put into the detailing overall, but it just doesn't look good, and the paint job that it was given just does not complement it either. The sail on this figure gets the general shape of the 2014 Spino down, but it has a very interesting, like almost ripple pattern going along the top of it. And I'd say this falls more into the realm of speculation, so there's no inherent issue with doing that. But the tail actually, and I do have to commend CollectA, because the 2014 Spinosaurus is what really drove home that, okay, Spinosaurus may have been more aquatic than we think, they really gave it a nice beefy, very crocodilian looking tail. And I know some people have an issue with Spinosaurids being portrayed with very crocodilian looking parts, and I do understand that the scoots going down the top of the tail look really crocodilian, and I would have changed up the style of the scoots myself if I was making this figure to make it seem more unique instead of just, you know, straight reptilian. But I really like how thick the tail is, especially at the base. This tail looks muscular. It looks like it was built for swimming, and I really like that CollectA really paid attention to that. There were a lot of 2014 reconstructions of Spinosaurus at the time that didn't take into account that, okay, this thing might have been more aquatic than we think, but we're just not going to give it a very powerful looking tail. And a lot of them in some cases have tails that look like noodles, and I can think of some figures that even have that now. But yeah, I really like the way the tail looks, especially from the dorsal view. You can really see how muscular it is, and can definitely be seen used as a powerful swimming device for this animal. This model also captures the very short hind limbs that Spinosaurus had in the reconstruction, which of course was the main thing that was challenged with reconstructions following up shortly after. But CollectA was just following Ibrahim's initial study on the Spinosaurus remains, so they based this model purely off of his reconstruction of it, so I can't blame them for that. The hands hold my absolute least favorite part of this entire figure, and I like its left arm overall. I like how it's kind of up from the ground and, you know, stretching forward. You have a baryonic style thumb claw there, but it's its right hand. It's walking on its palms. It looks so unnatural, and even the 2014 reconstruction always showed Spinosaurus as a knuckle-walking quadruped most of the time, which I'm not an advocate nowadays for a quadrupedal Spinosaurus. I think it's impractical for the overall size of the animal, but it's even more impractical to have this thing walking on its palms. It would have completely broken its wrists. But that is one of my biggest complaints overall with this entire figure. But moving up into the head now, CollectA did capture the overall look of Spinosaurus' head pretty darn well here, I have to say. There is some very obvious shrink wrapping around the fenestra on the face though, which is unfortunate. I do like the eye in that glossy black color though, and that is a very common thing for CollectA figures, and I do hope they continue that because I really like it. I think it feels pretty natural. The addition of the red and the yellow on the face with the crest and the red markings around the eyes is interesting, but against the rest of the color scheme, I just don't really care for it. And this figure does exhibit an articulated jaw, which works pretty well, I have to say. It's very smooth, and you can really sort of meld it into the upper jaw to get it closed pretty snug. This figure is made out of a quite bendy material, so you can really get that bottom jaw shoved into the top there. But you can actually open it like really wide, up to where the skin flaps in the corner of the mouth like completely fall out of the top jaw. If you desire doing that, you can do that. But when you get those back up inside the actual head, it looks pretty decent with the jaw open. I have to say this is one of the more decent articulated jaws I've seen from CollectA in a while. And the interior of the mouth has some pretty nicely done teeth overall in a white color, and the rest of the mouth is done in a fleshy pink color, of course. Nothing too special in there detail-wise. You have a nice little tongue and just some very basic texturing detail, but nothing to write home about there. And I guess the last thing I'd like to address is the overall coloration for this figure. I could see myself liking this figure way more if it just had way more interesting and less cheap looking colors and just a better color palette overall. I can definitely see that they were going for a more crocodilian-like color scheme with the markings and everything, and the greens and the tans and everything, but it just feels like a mess to me. Like, I don't know what to think when I look at this figure's coloration. It just feels like parts of it are just a spritz of airbrush, bright green. Parts of it are more of a natural tan color. You have these very basic little black spots just thrown all over the figure, and some of them are circular, some of them are square. It just feels like it's a mess and that the colors were an afterthought and there was really no love put into it. And they tried to put a bit more vibrancy on the face with the red and yellow, but it just doesn't work out in my opinion at all. So the colors and the posture with that hand, with it walking on its palms, those are my two biggest problems with this figure overall. And then another thing, of course, is the rather uncomfortable looking warty detailing across the body, which I think just gives the figure an unappealing look in general. But anyway, I really think that concludes my thoughts on this 2015 Spinosaurus from CollectA. Overall, I have to say, if you're going to get one of these Spinosaurus, because they've released 2 standard versions as well, get one of the standard ones. And if you're going to get a standard one, get the swimming one, because the swimming one actually doesn't show it walking on its palms, and it looks kind of cool in a swimming pose. Anyway, in case you are wondering how large this figure is from the tip of the snout to the tip of the tail, we are looking at right about 13.5 inches long, over a foot long, which is about 35 centimeters. And in terms of the height at the highest point, which is the top of the sail, we are looking at right about 4.5 inches, which is right about 11 centimeters. And for our quick comparison, here is my new favorite Spinosaurus figure, which is PNSO's 2020 update of Asian, and you can really just see the difference between these two animals. PNSO's just has way more natural colors, which is way more thought and love and care put into them overall, and the detailing on PNSO's is just totally on point. The posture is great, even though it is a knuckle walker quadruped. I think it just looks cool in general and has a nice shelf presence, even though it's much smaller than this Spinosaurus from CollectA. And the CollectA one just feels like this kind of big, cheap, kind of rushed mess in my opinion. But anyway guys, that's going to do it for this review of the 2015 CollectA Deluxe Spinosaurus. Once again, a big thank you to my friend Gibson for sending this one over to the channel so I could review it. Let me know if you have this one down below, and if you do have it, what are your thoughts on it? And if you don't have it, let me know what your thoughts are on it as well. Do you plan on getting this one at some point in the future? Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed, and I'll catch you all in my next video. So take care, and bye-bye.